Welcome to another deep dive.
Oh, this is exciting.
Today we're tackling something a lot of you out there are thinking about right now.
Okay, yeah.
Navigating the world of student-independent visas,
Right.
especially for those coming from Africa.
Right, it can be tricky.
We'll be looking at this excerpt from Navigating Student-Independent Visas for African Students.
Right.
Let's try to make this whole process as clear as possible for everyone.
Awesome. I think a lot of people get intimidated by visas. It doesn't have to be overwhelming.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It really stood out to me that there are a lot of similarities between different countries' requirements.
Absolutely. Most countries are looking for the same basic reassurances from students.
Makes sense.
It's all about perspective.
Okay.
Put yourself in their shoes.
Right.
They want to make sure you're genuinely there to study, that you're able to support yourself financially, and that you actually plan to go back home once you're done.
It's about trust then.
It is, and logistics too.
So it's not just about getting that acceptance letter. You really have to demonstrate a solid plan.
Exactly. And a huge part of that plan is proving you can handle the cost of living.
Uh-huh.
Like the U.S., for instance,
Yeah.
requires you to show you have at least $10,000 per year
Wow.
on top of your tuition.
Okay. That's important to remember. A lot of people might overlook that.
For sure. And of course, health insurance is a must-have no matter where you're going.
Absolutely, yeah.
Healthcare systems are all so different.
Right.
Insurance protects you from those unexpected medical bills. It's part of being prepared.
Speaking of being prepared, I learned something really surprising. Some universities, like the University of Melbourne, can send out acceptance letters super fast,
Yeah, really fast.
sometimes in just 2 weeks.
That can make a huge difference in your timeline.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to getting that visa processed.
Wow. Okay, so you get the acceptance letter.
Right.
What's next?
But then it's all about the documents. Like packing for a big trip, you gotta have the right gear.
Uh-huh. I like that analogy.
Your passport, financial statements going back at least 6 months, transcripts, and often a sponsor letter.
Okay, sponsor letter. Can we unpack that a little? What is it and why is it so important?
Sure, it's a formal letter from someone who is helping you financially with your studies. Could be family, a friend, even an organization. They're basically saying, hey, I'm committed to covering this student's expenses. Adds an extra layer of reassurance for the visa people.
Gotcha. It sounds like being super organized is key here.
Oh, definitely. The more organized you are up front,
Yeah.
the smoother the whole application process will be. Once you've got all your documents together, you can send in your visa application. Could be online, could be in person. It really depends on the country.
And I'm guessing there's a fee?
Yep. Most countries will charge a fee to apply. It can change depending on your nationality and what kind of visa you're going for. You want to build that into your budget from the start.
Got it. So let's say you've sent in your meticulously organized application.
Perfect.
Fees are paid. What comes next?
Now we play the waiting game. Visa processing times can be a bit all over the place, honestly. Some are super quick, others could take weeks, maybe even months.
Oh, wow.
This is why I tell everyone, start early. The earlier, the better.
So you're waiting, hopefully, with a positive outcome on the horizon. What should students be doing during that time?
Such a great question. It's the perfect time to start really prepping for the trip.
Okay.
Think about housing, dive into the local culture, maybe brush up on your language skills, all that good stuff.
All excellent points.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed your visa gets approved.
Congratulations.
What should you do next?
Well, first, celebrate.
Of course.
But before you start packing those bags,
Mm-hmm.
double, triple check every detail on your visa. Make sure everything is correct. Name, passport number, the dates,
Right.
all of it. You don't want any surprises when you land.
That's such good advice.
It happens more often than you think.
I know a lot of students dream of bringing their family along on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, spouses, kids. What about those dependent visas?
Wonderful idea. It's definitely possible. Lots of countries offer visas specifically for family members of students. Lets them join you in the new country.
Okay, I definitely want to hear more about that. Dependent visas sound like a whole other world to navigate.
It is.
But I think we'll save that for part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
Join us next time as we dig into the world of family visas and how you can make this experience something you share with your loved ones.
I'm looking forward to it. Welcome back. Glad to be talking more about dependent visas. It's something that comes up a lot.
Right. It's not always just the student going abroad.
Definitely not.
Makes the whole experience even richer, I imagine. But probably also a lot more to think about.
You're absolutely right. It adds another layer of complexity to the whole visa process, but it's definitely doable if you go about it the right way.
So let's start with the basics.
Okay, good idea.
What are we even talking about when we say dependent visa? What makes someone eligible?
Well, it's not quite as simple as just being married or having kids.
Ah,
Every country has their own rules about who exactly qualifies as a dependent.
I see.
Usually it's spouses and children under a certain age, but the age limits, they're all different.
Gotcha.
Super important to do your research.
Yeah.
Check the specific requirements for the country you're planning to study in.
Makes sense. Got to dot your I's and cross those T's.
Exactly.
So let's say you check all the boxes, you're eligible.
Right.
What kind of documents do you need for a dependent visa application?
It's actually a lot like the student visa application itself.
Oh.
But for dependent visas, the focus is on proving that family connection.
Right. Okay.
So things like marriage certificates, birth certificates, any adoption papers, anything official that clearly shows the relationship.
Got it. Those legal documents are essential.
Yep.
And what about finances? Do you have to prove you can support your family too?
Absolutely. It's crucial to show you can financially support yourself and any family members coming with you.
Of course, you're responsible for them.
Exactly. You're responsible for their well-being while you're all living abroad.
So does that mean the financial requirements are way higher?
Yes, they're usually higher.
Okay.
You might need to show proof of extra savings or have a stronger sponsor letter, one that specifically says they're willing to help out your dependents too.
Just to be clear, are we talking about the same person who might be sponsoring the student's studies?
Yep, that's right.
So that sponsor is taking on a pretty big responsibility.
Oh, for sure.
Wow. Okay, so I'm curious about the actual application process.
Okay.
Do you apply for the dependent visas separately?
Good question.
Or can you just do everything together with the student's application?
That really depends on the country.
Okay.
In a lot of cases, you can actually submit it all together, which can definitely make things easier.
Streamlines everything.
Exactly.
But it's best to double check.
Oh, always.
See what the embassy or consulate says.
Always double check.
All right, so let's imagine the applications have been submitted. Documents are all in order.
Looking good.
Fees are paid.
Perfect.
What happens then?
Then we wait.
That familiar waiting game.
It is. Processing times for dependent visas, they can be kind of unpredictable too, just like the student visas.
Yeah.
You just got to be patient and keep an eye on things. Check the status every so often.
Speaking of challenges,
Yeah.
are there any common hurdles that pop up specifically with dependent visas? And what can people do about them?
Well, one of the most common challenges is the age limit for kids.
Oh, right. You mentioned that.
Some countries are really strict about it, which can be tough if you have older children.
So what do?
You got to do your research up front, know those limits. If your kids are older, you might need to look into other options,
Oh, okay.
maybe separate student visas for them.
Interesting. Anything else that comes up a lot?
Yeah, another thing is proving the relationship between the student and their dependents.
Okay, like proving you're actually a family.
Exactly. This is where having all those documents is super important.
Right, right.
But sometimes, even with the documents, embassies want more proof.
Like what?
They might ask for extra evidence or even schedule an interview.
Wow. To verify the relationship.
Yep.
Intense.
It can be.
What kind of extra evidence are we talking about?
It really varies.
Okay.
Could be things like bank statements from a joint account, copies of a lease agreement that you both signed, photographs, travel itineraries.
Ah, I see.
Anything that shows you really have a shared history. You're a real family.
It's all about painting a clear picture.
Exactly.
We've talked a lot about the logistics, the paperwork.
Yeah.
But what about the emotional side of things? Bringing your family along.
Oh, that's huge.
I bet that comes with its own challenges.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Moving your whole family to a new country.
Yeah,
It can be a lot to handle emotionally.
I imagine.
Culture shock, homesickness.
Oh, definitely.
Figuring out how to live in a totally new environment, it affects everyone differently.
And kids might not understand what's going on.
Exactly. So open communication is key.
Makes sense.
Talk to your family a lot.
Yeah.
Find out what they're worried about, what they're excited for, what they're scared of.
Get those feelings out in the open.
Exactly. And try to involve them in the whole process as much as possible. Let them do some research.
Oh, good idea.
Maybe learn some basic phrases in the new language. Even connect with other families who've already done something similar.
Make them feel like they're part of the adventure.
Yes. And once you're all settled in the new place, creating routines can help.
Okay, like a sense of normalcy.
Right. Finding ways to connect with the local community, too. It all helps everyone adjust more smoothly.
Do you have any advice specifically for families going through this?
Lots of universities have amazing support systems in place.
D-
They might have special orientation programs just for families, social events to connect with other international families,
Oh, and I.
even childcare services sometimes. Don't be afraid to reach out.
Okay.
The university's international office can be a huge help,
So they're a good resource.
a great one.
Okay. What about housing?
Oh, yeah, that's different too.
Finding a place for a whole family can't be as simple as getting a dorm room.
It's definitely more challenging and usually more expensive too.
Yeah.
You really need to start looking early.
Okay.
Think about how close it is to the university. Is there good public transportation? Does the place have things that are good for kids?
You have to be realistic about what you need.
Exactly. Plan ahead.
What about healthcare? I imagine that's something else you have to figure out.
Oh, for sure. And it's so different depending on where you go.
Right.
Some countries have universal health care, covers everyone,
Easy.
including the families of people on visas. Others,
Yeah.
you need private insurance.
Okay, that's good to know. What about schools for the kids? Is that pretty straightforward?
It depends.
Oh, of course, it always depends.
On the country, how old the kids are.
Huh.
Some countries, the public schools are amazing.
Yeah.
Totally open to international students.
Nice.
Other places, options are more limited.
So you really got to do your homework.
You really do. Figure out how the schools work. How do you enroll your kids?
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot to think about when you're bringing your family.
There is.
But there's also a lot of support out there if you know where to look.
Exactly. Don't be shy about asking for help.
Good advice.
There are so many resources. Embassies, consulates, the International Student Office.
Okay.
Even online forums can be helpful.
It's good to know you're not alone in this.
You're definitely not. And we focused a lot on the logistics, the challenges.
Yeah.
But let's not forget the amazing parts, sharing this adventure with your family.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Exactly.
That's a perfect segue to the next part of our deep dive.
Ooh, I'm excited.
We'll be talking about all the emotional aspects of studying abroad,
The good, the bad.
both for the students and their families.
Awesome.
Join us as we explore adapting to a new culture, starting a new life,
And making memories.
and making memories that'll last a lifetime. Welcome back to our deep dive.
Yeah.
We've covered so much already.
We have.
All the details about applications, all those documents, what it takes to bring your family along. But now I kind of want to shift gears a little.
Oh, okay.
Talk about the human side of all this.
Yeah, feels.
Exactly. The emotional side of studying abroad.
That's so important. It's a big deal. Moving to a new country, a whole different culture, it changes you. In good ways and, sometimes in challenging ways too.
Totally. And those challenges, we're not just talking about logistics anymore.
Right.
This is about navigating a whole new life. Maybe even with your family, trying to adjust right alongside you.
It's a lot. And one of the biggest things is culture shock. It's a real thing. You feel lost, out of place, because everything is different.
Right. The way people do things, even just daily routines.
Totally.
I imagine it can be really disorienting. What are some of the signs of culture shock? And how can people deal with it?
It shows up in different ways for different people. You might feel super homesick,
Yeah.
want to be alone all the time, or maybe you're irritable, anxious. Some people even have physical symptoms. They're tired all the time or they can't sleep.
Wow.
But the important thing to remember is these feelings are normal.
Okay, good.
And they usually don't last forever.
So it's not like you're doing something wrong.
No, not at all. It's just part of getting used to a new place.
So what can you do to make it easier?
Stay connected to your people back home.
Makes sense.
Try to build a support system in your new country.
Okay.
Do things that make you happy. Take care of yourself. Eat well. Get enough sleep.
Great advice. What about for kids? How can parents help them adjust?
Kids are actually pretty adaptable, but they can be sensitive too. The most important thing is to involve them as much as you can.
Yeah.
Answer their questions honestly and let them know it's okay to feel whatever they're feeling.
Great. Validate those feelings.
Exactly. Creating routines can help them too.
Okay, so a bit of predictability in the new place.
Yep. And those little comforts from home, their favorite toys, books, a consistent bedtime, even connecting with other families who've gone through the same thing.
It's like building a little piece of home in a new country.
Exactly.
We've talked a lot about challenges, and I think there's another one we need to talk about, especially for students coming from Africa.
Okay, what's that?
The possibility of facing racism or discrimination in their new home.
Yeah, that's a really tough one, but important to talk about. Unfortunately, racism is a reality in a lot of places, and it's something international students, especially from marginalized communities, need to be aware of.
It breaks my heart that that's even a thing.
Mm.
What can students do if they experience that?
First, know that you're not alone. What you're going through is real and it's not okay. A lot of universities have special support systems for international students.
Okay.
Counseling, people who can advocate for you.
That's good.
It's also important to learn the local laws.
Okay.
Know how to report discrimination if it happens to you.
So information is power. Knowing what to do, where to go for help. Is there anything students can do before they go to maybe lessen the chances of experiencing racism?
For sure. Researching the social and political climate of your destination is a good place to start.
Okay.
Connecting with other students from similar backgrounds can help too.
Right. Find your community.
Exactly. And there are organizations that focus on helping international students. They can be a great resource for information and guidance.
So let's shift gears a bit.
Sounds good.
Let's talk about the incredible opportunities that come with studying abroad.
Yes. It's not all challenging.
Definitely not.
Hmm.
What are some of the benefits that students talk about after they study abroad?
Oh, so many. They feel more independent.
Ah.
They understand different cultures better. Their language skills improve.
Yeah.
They see the world in a whole new way.
Yeah.
And a lot of them say they feel more confident. They're better at adapting to new situations, solving problems. That can give them a real advantage when they're looking for jobs.
Sounds like a life-changing experience.
It really can be.
What about for families who go through this together?
It's an amazing bonding experience. You get to create all these new memories together, explore new places,
Yeah.
learn from each other.
Love that.
And kids especially, they benefit so much from being exposed to different cultures, different ways of life.
Makes them more curious, more adaptable.
Exactly.
So it's an investment,
Yes.
not just in education, but in family and personal growth too.
Yeah.
And I bet these benefits, they last way beyond the study abroad program itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All those skills, those new perspectives, those memories, they stay with you.
So, any final words of encouragement for people thinking about studying abroad, whether they're going solo or bringing the whole crew?
Go for it. Embrace the adventure. It's going to be challenging, but the rewards are incredible. Just do your research, be prepared, and don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone. You'll learn and grow in ways you never thought possible.
What a fantastic message. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience with us.
My pleasure.
We covered a ton of information today, and I hope everyone listening feels more prepared to navigate this world of student and dependent visas and to create their own amazing study abroad adventures.
Remember, the world is full of opportunities. Go out there and make them happen.